In Lebanon, some stones have been placed on the structure of a temple that leave the human mind stunned. Each stone weighed as much as 3 blue whales. Surprisingly, they were not only cut in one piece with great skill, but were also transported from a distance of 1.5 kilometers thousands of years ago. But the mystery is that until now, no civilization of humans has passed that is famous for cutting such large stones. In the past, no civilization has passed that had the knowledge that we do not have today. To examine these stones, a team of German archaeologists started excavations at the stone quarry from which these stones were brought. There is still an incomplete stone there which is said to weigh 1,200 tons, which is about the same as 4 Boeing F-7s. After digging here, archaeologists found some evidence underground that is quite difficult to believe. Welcome viewers to the videos of past empires once again. So viewers, there is a city called Baalbek in the east. There is a city called Baalbek, where people from all over the world come to see some ruins of the Roman Empire. But the interesting thing is that these ruins visible from above were built during the Roman Empire. But underneath them, archaeologists have found some evidence that has no connection with the Roman Empire. At least not yet. There is a temple built by the ancient Romans, which is called the Temple of Jupiter. This temple is still the highest example of the architecture and craftsmanship of the Roman Empire. But under the construction of this temple, a foundation of very large stones has been found. At first, it was believed that it was not in one piece, but rather small stones were skillfully joined together to make them look like one. But after various tests, it was confirmed that it was nothing more than a single giant stone. These stones, which were later named Trilithon, are 62 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet thick. They are amazing. The weight of a single stone alone is 900 tons. Cutting such a large stone into an accurate block and lifting it 30 feet above the ground was probably the first time in human history. If we want to estimate the size and weight of these stones, then each stone is 9 lakhs kg, which is 1.5 times heavier than the world's heaviest aircraft, the Antonov An-225 Mirage, and 10 times heavier than the largest stones used in the construction of the pyramids of Giza. Despite their huge size, these stones were somehow transported from the quarry to here, which is about 1.5 kilometers away, and then placed on top of the 400-ton blocks of the Heliopolis complex, on top of which the walls of the complex were later built by placing small blocks. The accuracy with which these stones were cut and joined is truly extraordinary, especially for an era when it was difficult to imagine modern machinery, because there is not even a paper-thin gap between them in Roman structures. If you look at it, their focus was on beauty. They wanted to show off their construction skills to the world. But on the contrary, the Trilithons were not placed here to show off but to bury them, because this part of the foundation was previously buried underground. After seeing this, a question comes to mind: if a civilization accomplishes such a great feat, why would it hide it? Why is there no mention in Roman documents of the ancient Romans, who are famous for keeping records of their every skill, bringing these Trilithons from the quarry and lifting them? This shows that the construction of this site was not entirely done by the ancient Romans, but they built their temple on top of the built foundation. In addition, according to historians, the largest crane the Romans had could only lift 60 tons, which makes it extremely impossible for them to lift these 900-ton stones. And the stones that the Romans lifted with their cranes were also very heavy. In the middle, they used to make a special shape of hole called a Lewis hole, but we do not find any such holes in the Trilithons. If we are to follow any of the common engineering techniques of the Romans to cut, lift and bring the Trilithons to this place, then who did this work with such skill? Who built the original foundation of the Temple of Jupiter? The other stones of the Temple of Jupiter are aligned with the finishing, while the Trilithons do not have finishing, and the effects of wind and sand erosion are clearly visible on them, as if they had been lying here for thousands of years. Many historians believe that, keeping all these things in mind, the Trilithons are not from the era of the Roman Empire, but rather 12,000 years old, that is, 10,000 years before the Roman Empire. What is considered impossible to do in the modern era, which civilization did it at that time and how? This is a mystery that archaeologists have not been able to explain yet. In Baalbek, these Trilithons are not the only ones that baffle the human mind. Such large stones can be seen at many places in the compound of Jupiter. Look at this 800-ton stone near the stairs. It is not uncommon to move it. Then we go to the south wall, where numerous blocks weighing from 400 to 800 tons are found. Some are above ground while others are underground. No one knows how deep they are in the ground. The fitting between them has been done very neatly, and this line made on the border is less than a millimeter. After seeing this work seems even more complicated. There are some strange marks on the surface of these stones. like those made on stones due to today's modern mining machinery. The length of these marks is about 10 feet and they are completely parallel to each other. When it comes to the tools of the ancient era, none of them could have made such marks. At least in the records of the historians, there is no such tool. There are no such tool marks. They have also been seen on the stones of Janshan Quarry in China. There is a 16,000-ton stone block here, which has markings in exactly the same way as the stones of Baalbek. Similarly, similar markings have been seen in the ancient city of Petra in Charan. This city was also built by cutting the rocks of the mountain at least 2,300 years ago. If we compare them, these markings are like today's modern machinery. That is, in ancient times there was such technology that could cut stones like modern machinery, but obviously historians do not have any solid evidence of it yet. Now they go to the quarry from where these Baalbek stones were originally brought, including the Trilithons. The Baalbek quarry is about 1.5 kilometers away from the Temple of Jupiter and is a limestone quarry. Some half-cut stones are still there. This is even more surprising because these are the largest stones installed in the Temple of Jupiter and the complex. This half-cut stone is known as the pregnant woman. There are many stories about how it got its name. It is 68 feet long, 14 feet high and 14 feet thick. Its weight has been calculated to be 1,200 tons by area. This stone is lying at an angle while its lower part is still connected to the working stone. Those who cut it in this shape did not get a chance to separate its lower part and probably had to leave this work in the middle. Otherwise, perhaps this stone would also be visible to us today on the side of the Temple of Jupiter. The bottom of this stone still has the same type of marks that have been seen on other stones of the Temple of Jupiter. A model of the pregnant woman stone has been placed in the Jungfrau Park in Switzerland, around which some models of modern cranes have been erected. The purpose of showing it is only that of the pregnant woman stone. Even today, if it has to be lifted, about 20 cranes can do the job together, and that too only when there is space to place cranes up to 50 to 60 feet on this side of the stone. Earlier, the pregnant woman stone was half buried underground, but in 2014, a team of archaeologists excavated here and found that it was also separate from the work underground. Only the bottom of this block is still connected to the work, meaning that it had been lying like this for thousands of years, and the layer of clay had buried it underground. Scientists believe that just 1 inch of the clay layer accumulates between about 80 and 100 years. If you look at the old pictures of the pregnant woman stone, it is buried about 10 feet deep, that is 120 inches. So if 1 inch is equal to 80 years, then it will take 9,600 years to accumulate 120 inches. It is quite difficult to think and understand that humans were able to do such a challenging task in the Stone Age about 1000 years ago. In 2014, when excavations were done for this stone, another surprising thing came to light. Another hidden stone. This stone is buried underground right next to pregnant woman and is estimated to weigh 1,650 tons. Known as the Forgotten Stone, it is the largest block of stone ever excavated. This is only the part of the block that is visible from above. Nothing can be said about how deep it is and what is hidden inside the quarry. This stone has become a mystery to today's scientists, including engineers and archaeologists, because the methods used to cut, transport and place it in the exact right place do not seem possible to any known ancient civilization or even to today's builders. In addition, the journey from this quarry to Baalbek is not only uphill due to the mountain but also quite rough. There is no evidence that any direct route was made in ancient times to transport these stones, which would have made it easier to pull the stones. Not only that, after delivering these boulders to the side of Baalbek, they were lifted so delicately. Even if it is assumed that the ancient builders used a pulling system, there are no signs on the stones that indicate the existence of a pulling system. These giant stones of Baalbek give us an indication of an ancient civilization, that era when humans were quite tall and their bodies were as powerful as giants. Various religious books such as the Bible, Quran and Hindi scriptures also mention such humans who were quite tall and powerful. They had powers that superhumans have in some fiction movies. They have been given different names in different books, as in the Bible they are called Nephilim. In some places their height is said to be 450 feet, in some places up to 100 feet. And for these civilizations, perhaps lifting the stones of Baalbek was not such a difficult task. I hope you will like and share this Past Empires video. Thank you very much for your loving comments. I will see you in the next wonderful video.